latest episode of Falling Upwards, where even though my nose sounds like a blocked drain pipe and Maddie has jet lag, we are still here for you. We're still here. We've been so excited to sit and be here and record this episode, and it's actually quite a special episode, not just because we have another fabulous guest for you, but also because we're in the same place. Oh my god!
Amazing! Did you think we were in the same place all the other episodes? Because if you did, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but this is the first time.
How are you doing, Maddie?
Yeah, as you said, I'm very, very tired. I just came back from 16 hours of traveling last night, and I was awake for 24 hours. But I'm here. I'm here for you.
I think our guests know that you have been away, travelling, being a superstar. Where have you been? What have you been up to?
Well, shall we go into mad news for this?
Okay, mad news, let's go. So, Maddie, what do you have for mad news this week?
Well, very appropriately, as you will find out soon enough, I have just been in Korea for 10 days. Woo! And what I was doing there was running my own little photography exhibition. So, yeah.
How did it go?
It went amazingly. I was actually surprised. Are you ever surprised that people actually care?
Yes, like constantly, all the time.
Because people actually came. And not only did they come, but they actually liked my work and they were complimenting it and they were chatting to me because I speak basic Korean, so I'd be like, 저 사진 작가예요, stuff like that. And they were just so kind. And I made some friends that day, and this one girl brought her cat, so I was petting it. It was amazing.
She brought her cat to the exhibition.
Yeah. So I was like, 만져도 돼요? And I was petting it. And I was probably giving her cat a bit more attention than her, but I mean that's natural. That's what happens when you bring a cat.
I am surprised they allowed a cat in a gallery.
Well, I mean, it was my friend's house. It was a hanok, which is the traditional home. So you just go in the front gate and you're in a courtyard, so the cat was outside.
Okay, I was imagining in my head it was like a baby Tate gallery and there was just a cat that was carried in.
No, it was in an actual proper traditional setting. It was really beautiful, and it really contrasted because I had K-pop concert photography, Western stuff there, but I also had scenery from back home in the UK. I said back home, but we're here right now. So it contrasted against the very traditional Korean background, but it was lovely, and they really appreciate that. A lot of those images were the most popular ones.
I was literally going to ask, because obviously they might be more familiar with seeing K-pop artists. How did they react seeing the stuff from the UK?
The artists? Yeah, they were excited. I mean, even the K-pop, they were happy to see. There was a lot of people maybe above 40 that I asked if they knew any artists, and they were like, no. But a lot of people knew Chungha and Jessie, obviously, and it was really lovely for people to recognize the artist and be like, oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
Do you have a specific anecdote to share?
I could tell you about when I climbed up Bukhansan.
Yes.
Because first off, I don't work out, so my legs are as jelly as they could possibly be. So basically I have no muscles, and I climbed up this mountain thinking it was going to be an easy little mountain, because when I was a kid we used to go to the Lake District in England all the time and we'd climb mountains, and I was 21-year-old Maddie doesn't have the same capabilities he did when she was a young child. So I naively went on this adventure, and within 5 minutes I was needing a break, and I was wondering, because I was with my friend Chungha, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna actually make this, we might have to call it off a third way through or something. But you know what, the longer it went on, the easier it became. Weirdly, my legs were dying. You know that SpongeBob meme where it's my leg, it was that constantly. But it actually got easier because of the blood sort of going around your body, and you just, It's kind of like when you're so tired that you go beyond tiredness. It
Mm.
was like that in my legs. So we eventually get to the top, and it's beautiful. And then we go back down, and for the next 3 days, I can barely walk. I can't go downstairs. I have to wear these massive pain patches on my legs to recover. But it was worth it because the view was beautiful. Thank you.
I feel like it's one of those things where your body does often find a way to push through, but obviously it just punished you for it for the following 3 days.
Yeah, I felt like Bear Grylls. You know, because you can step outside of your house and your body will scream at you for like walking 5 minutes to Tesco or something. But when you're actually in like a survival mode, you'll be amazed at what the human limits truly can be. And I think I think going up Bukhan-san, we went into survival mode there. So my capabilities were extended.
But then you do have, you have a good brain. Another beautiful thing, though, when we are talking and thinking about women doing awesome things and why it was so beautiful that Maddie was in South Korea. My dog is here. If you can hear the barking, that's what it is.
She's licking me now.
Okay. So if you hear panting in the episode, it's, we have another special guest. It's a canine special guest. But we were going to see if we could sort this out whilst Maddie was in Korea, and obviously we were not able to. But our special guest for the episode is the wonderful director Soo Kim that directed the newest Apple TV Plus film, The Last of the Sea Women. The reason we wanted to specially do this whilst Maddie was in South Korea is because the film details the story of the haenyeo, who are these amazing women that dive for seafood in the island of Jeju, in their community in Jeju. They are absolutely amazing. It's an incredibly beautiful film. I had the chance to interview them, which means you know what's coming. We get to hear Maddie's reaction for the first time because she has not heard this at all. So without further ado, we will take a listen.
Bessie, congratulations on the film. It's such a wonderful piece of work.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem. Well, to kick off, what was your process? How did you discover the stories of these women, and how did you choose from that group which stories and threads in particular to highlight?
So I actually first came upon the haenyeo in person when I was a child. When I was 8 years old, my family and I took a trip to Jeju Island, and we just sort of happened upon them, and they made such a strong impression on me. You know, they were just like how you see in the film. They're just so strong and bold and loud and funny and full of life, and I just fell in love with their energy, and so I just kept kind of finding out about. I followed them over the years as I grew up, and then when I became a filmmaker, I started going back to Jeju Island to try and find them, and just to have conversations with them. And then it was on a trip about 10 years ago where I met an 84-year-old haenyeo who had just come out of the water, and she's the one that told me that her generation was likely to be the last generation of the haenyeo.
Like I've heard about the haenyeo before, and they are incredible. You know, they're old ladies, a lot of them, and they're diving super far.
And you've been diving, so you know how hard it is, what they do.
Oh,
And they have no apparatus for context. They are free diving.
I cannot believe it. Yeah, I've not to talk about me, but I did go scuba diving, and that was with full gear, and that wasn't even as deep down as the haenyeo go, but it was still deep. Like you really don't understand it unless you go. You just think, oh, it's a little dive down. No, it's super far. For us, it was like 40 feet, and it's further than that, and they're like superhuman. That they're super women. So it is quite sad to hear that there's sort of less and less of them. But I can understand it's something so tremendously difficult that it's easy for it to become less and less.
And sort of when I heard that, that's really when the movie became a lot more urgent for me to make. You know, I think previous to that, I'd always thought about maybe making a movie about the haenyeo, But once I realized that they were a community on the verge of extinction, it became much more of an urgent mandate that I wanted to document them while they were still here, while there was still enough of them that we could show the kind of wonderful community and sisterhood that they have. And I really wanted them to be able to tell their own story in their own words. So that's really when the the beginnings of this film happened. And then basically, I met Malala in extracurricular a few years ago, and they joined on to the project, which is really what helped get this project funded because I was having a very hard time getting anyone to partner with me or any streamers or studios to be super interested in it. So once I partnered with extracurricular, then we linked up with A24, and then were we were greenlit by Apple. Then there was this incredible, wonderful partnership, that three-way partnership that happened. And then basically, I went back to Jeju. I worked with a local production company called Compass Productions, who are wonderful. And basically, a producer and a researcher from Compass and myself, we went down to Jeju and we met with haenyeos from all over the island because it's not one large community on Jeju. It's like 30 small ones that are connected to the fishing villages. And so we met with about 12 different communities, and we landed on kind of four main haenyeo character or subjects and haenyeo communities that we would follow over the course of a year and a half. And we chose them for slightly different reasons, but usually because something about the haenyeo herself or something about the community resonated with a theme that was underlying in the film. So, for instance, our haenyeo subject, Jang Sun-dok, and her Gosan village haenyeos, they're all ardent environmentalists, and they loved to talk about what was happening to the ocean, and they participate in protests and have a very kind of strong sense of activism. So we really wanted to showcase them because what was happening to the destruction of the ecosystem, the marine life ecosystem, was a very important theme for us. So they really helped bring a lot of insight and personal anecdotes to that theme. And then another subject that we loved and really wanted to follow was the haenyeo named Kang Ju-hwa, and she was the one that's like the best haenyeo on the island. So strong, she really exemplified the athleticism that haenyeos require.
It's like one haenyeo master. I love that.
And then she's the one that unfortunately broke her foot, and that was, that brought in a whole new insight of how fragile it is actually to be a haenyeo and how unsupported they are by their local governments.
Thank you for breaking that down. To follow your ideas around themes that you were looking at through the documentary, I'm a big lover of microhistory, and I think your documentary is such a wonderful example of the genre with its close analysis on themes like environmentalism and cultural change and matriarchy.
Yeah.
How conscious were you that your film would really be able to tackle such global messages through such a small microcosm, and how do you hope it impacts these global messages for people that watch the film?
That's such a good question, because I honestly did not know how deep the sort of global messages and the global issues that are thematically running throughout the film. I didn't realize how present they would be in the narrative of this community at first. I really wanted to tackle this story to kind of memorialize this community, this beloved community that I grew up falling in love with. And for me, the kind of the main thematic sort of topic that I wanted to unpack in the making of this film was the tension between tradition and modernity. Like, I really wanted to understand. I knew why the haenyeo culture was very important to me because it made such an impression on me as a young girl. But knowing that it was about to kind of, it's on the verge of extinction, I wanted to understand why it felt so important to me personally to have this tradition carried on. And that's a general topic, I think, that could be applied to a lot of micro communities or micro histories, is how do we preserve tradition while still embracing modernity and innovation? How do we not lose what was important in our history, but not hold on to it in a way where we're not also being fully present in modern day society?
Just because you want to embrace tradition and remember the beautiful culture of your lands doesn't mean you have to completely just not have anything new at all. These things can coexist beautifully. You can have both. And I think that's a lovely thought, that people want to preserve, you know, these microcultures, and specifically the haenyeo, but while also Jeju is still moving, as is everywhere else on the planet.
There's this shot in the movie, which you'll love, where they look at two younger haenyeo, and they're in their 30s maybe, and they've got one of them, I think, either one of them or both of them, they have kids, and one of the little kids is either listening or watching IVE performing Love Dive.
Oh!
And then it cuts from there to like them working in the sea. And I went, that is that's the best segue, utilising that as well. But it was so interesting because you do think where, especially with entertainment and social media, like so many young people now would want to hedge their bets going and having this kind of career versus necessarily following the traditions of their parents and stuff. And in many ways it's good, because maybe 100 years ago, like you and I, not just being women, so we might have had to just be housewives, but even if we weren't, we might have had to follow specifically what our families' jobs were. So it's like, in some ways it's good that as a young person you have so many options nowadays, but then the flip side is it with something like this, if younger generations are just disengaged, like what's being lost? Do you know what I mean?
People think it's one or the other when it doesn't have to be.
And so that, to me, that was kind of like, I really wanted to understand what the answer to that was. And then once we started literally diving into the story with the haenyeos, that's when I realized, oh, that theme that I wanted to explore, it's in there. And I think it's very baked into the story of the younger haenyeos in the film. But they're both generations of the haenyeos had so much to say about what was happening to the ocean. It was almost like they were all desperate for someone to help them spread this message to the rest of the world that our ocean is dying. You don't see it because you're not underwater every single day, year after year, the way that we are, but everyone needs to know what's happening to the ocean.
Maddie's got this very sad look on her face, so I just paused.
That's heartbreaking. Really is. I mean, we all know what happens to the Great Barrier Reef. And it is sad. When I went scuba diving, and that was in Jamaica, we went down to see the coral reefs, and we saw all these schools of fish, and it was really beautiful, and I felt like a mermaid. But then I thought back to the Great Barrier Reef and how beautiful that used to be. That was so vibrant, and now today a lot of it is just dead. And hearing it from someone that actually is down there every day saying our sea is dying, it's just it does make me sad.
I think
it does make you pull a face.
That's something that really struck me watching the film, and it's why I recommend it to everybody, even if you're not interested in, I think if you're a woman or someone interested in gender rights, it's naturally going to be interesting because it is very much centered on the community that these women have really built. But from an environmental point of view, we all talk about the impact that we're having on the environment, but as you said, Mads, it really is a different gut punch when you see somebody who is down there every day, whose livelihood depends on it. And there are things like they wonder if they need to start using oxygen tanks, and then with nuclear energy and the Fukushima plant and all the nuclear waste there, obviously we saw that stuff in the news, and like sitting here in the UK, we can be like, oh,
Yeah.
is nuclear waste bad? But then to hear it from them, there's this moment where one of them is, they have somebody come in to talk about what's going on, and one of their haenyeo stand up, and she's asking, like,
She's essentially asking, is this gonna hurt us? How is this gonna hurt us? How is this gonna impact our well-being?
because, you know, obviously the toxic waste is going into the ocean.
Mm.
They're literally diving in the ocean. So it's one thing for us sitting here being like, oh, pollution is bad, nuclear waste in the water is bad, but like these women are genuinely in the ocean, and if anyone's going to be hit with that impact,
Oh.
it's them.
We don't think about, I mean, it's a different thing, but how much rubbish is in the ocean, we barely ever sort of talk about that, but it is nightmarish. Because we can just dismiss it so easily because we don't see it. But when you see it, you cannot forget about it. It's right in front of you. And I'm scared for the planet.
I think, I don't know if you feel this as well, but in the UK, because our beaches aren't big hotspots where loads of people go to, because, you know, the UK is often cold and we get very little summer, so we're not chilling on the beaches all the time. But, you know, to what you're saying about rubbish that you see accumulate on the beach, that you see in the sea, we don't really see that because we're not, I feel like, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but like I feel like as a rough English community, we don't spend a lot of time wandering the beaches, wandering the seas, unless you are unless that's you know, your thing, unless you're a surfer. Whereas when you hear about, say, people in California where they go to the beach a lot, I feel like they do see more of that because they are just at the beach more.
That's kind of hilarious but sad.
We don't see it, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
No.
it comes across as like this really abstract thing where it's like, yeah, pollution's bad, yeah, it's poisoning our rivers and our lakes and stuff, but actually, when you think of the hubs of people in the UK are in the big cities, like, we just don't, you actually genuinely hang out in the countryside, but actually the largest populations don't do that. So it's a very abstract thing where people think about, theoretically, yes, there's this pollution. Theoretically, yes, I take a car and it's bad for the environment. But the actual nature it's impacting, a lot of people aren't spending time seeing that, you know?
It's harder to do anything about something that you can't see. It's so easy to just turn a blind eye to things.
Do you feel, living more in touch with nature, that you've seen it change over time environmentally?
To be honest with you, they look just the same as they always have. Because these towns don't really change. It looks just as it could have looked 20 years ago. The only thing that's changed is the amount of people.
As in, is it growing or shrinking?
Oh, growing. So there's loads of beautiful, or once was beautiful, areas of my town, for example, where it's just been dug up to make another estate. And they're not even like lovely houses. They don't even have gardens. They have like a tiny, maybe a teeny tiny little garden, but it's not, and it's sad because the town isn't as beautiful anymore because all these grassy hills are just being taken over by houses because people just want to move there. But I'm also not surprised that they want to move to a peaceful town and get away from the city. But the more people that move to a peaceful town, the less peaceful the town will be. So I've definitely noticed that. But yeah, I mean there is always rubbish.
But like when you're popping down to the Lake District, do you feel that it's getting more and more less natural, more human pollution dominated?
Not the Lake District, no.
That's good though,
Yeah.
that you can say that.
I mean, towns in Yorkshire growing and getting bigger. I mean, you're always going to see a bit of litter everywhere, every now and then, which is disgusting. Um, but if there was one place that never ever seems to change and it always seems clean and people always seem the happiest they could be, it is the lakes. One of the many reasons I love it so much. But you know, if you're on the lakes, you're happy, and then the happier you are, the less likely you are to litter. But then sad people shouldn't litter anyway.
Sad people should not litter.
Maybe
I
that'll
feel
be
like
my
that could.
ending.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I think that'll be my sign off.
And so the film really took a turn towards really leaning more into the environmental message and these global themes, because that was what the haenyeos themselves were saying to me is the most important thing.
Beautiful, thank you. One last question. Something I always like to touch on is, especially with documentary making, it can be so unpredictable with things you plan for. Do you have any favorite failures from the process that actually turned out beautifully in the work?
I mean, I think I wouldn't call them failures because they were just hard pivots that happen. And like, you know, that is the joy of documentary filmmaking. I actually really like it when that happens, because to me, that's the beauty of life. It's unpredictable. And usually what happens in real life is more interesting than what you could have scripted or thought ahead of yourself. So I think Jang Soon-dok, her storyline, completely unplanned, with no idea that she would emerge as this sort of spokesperson of the haenyeo at the Jeju City Hall protest. But she was so passionate about speaking out that she kind of just like took the microphone. And because of that, that's what precipitated her invitation to the UN to speak to the Human Rights Council, because she got quite a lot of news coverage when she spoke at that Jeju protest. And so her going all the way to Geneva to speak in front of the Human Rights Council, what an incredible turn of events that never would have happened. We never foresaw that. It just happened because she was in the moment, living her activism, and you know, things like that, just opportunities like that just are chain reactions.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It's such a wonderful piece of work, and I hope
you.
it has a wonderful release.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
So the director Soo Kim, you know, working on this documentary, caring about preserving the tradition and raising awareness that the haenyeo wanted, actually led to them doing this massively by this sort of master haenyeo spokesperson speaking at the UN. That's amazing.
See, failures are not always failures.
Not at all.
I do feel like with documentary making as well, so much is up to chance. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, a director will go in mind with, like, with Soo Kim here, that she wants to document what they're up to. But she clearly takes all that unpredictability in her stride. Look where it took them, innit?
That's what a good director does, I think. And it's also kind of similar with photography, I find, because especially for the exhibition, I was trying to capture scenery shots but also kind of life shots, and you cannot create a moment. You have to just sort of wait. So working with what you've got and having a good eye, that's what a good creative does. So I think it's fab that it turned out unexpectedly, because a lot of the time the best things are unexpected.
How incredible is it, though, that they did manage to get their message all the way to the UN? I mean, amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, of course, go and check out The Last of the Sea Women when it comes out. It drops, well, today when we're recording this, but when you'll hear it, it will have been released very, very recently. So go and check it out when you can. Is there something about the film that you are personally looking forward to, Maddie?
Just seeing them in action, because I've watched a documentary about it before. That's how I was already familiar with them, and I do love all things mermaid related.
Absolutely, it is insane seeing these women that, you know, the majority of women that are followed in the film are between 60 to 80.
It's remarkable.
Man, like, oh my
Like,
goodness.
Old ladies in my town just sit on benches and plod around. No disrespect to them, but that is their favourite pastime. So the fact that these women are getting out there, they've not clocked out yet, every morning into the cold, cold sea. Amazing.
Insane.
Remarkable.
Absolutely insane. Well, now, on to the exchange. And I feel like, Maddie, you've been doing so much in South Korea. Do you have anything that you loved doing whilst you were there that you want to add to the exchange?
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Sleep on the floor. It's surprisingly comfortable.
This is a massive thing, because whenever I would travel back to Southeast Asia, a lot of the time, unless you're staying in a hotel, just sleep on the floor because you're at home. Comfy.
It was so... I can't believe this. I mean, I'm an English woman. I've spent like every day of my life on a bed, unless otherwise specified, you know, sleeping bag times. But even then, that was like on a mattress. But oh my word, I could not believe it was so comfy. Because I like a squishy mattress, a bouncy mattress. So a hard floor, hard doubts. But she, you know, the homeowners, they put on the ondol, the underfloor heating. They got the, you know, the bedding out for me. I plunk myself down and I wake up with no neck pain or anything. And I sleep like a baby. It's actually so comfortable. And it's just a floor. It's just a flat surface. How can it be so comfortable? But it was. So yeah, that's my exchange piece.
I think there must be something in it. Like, with the way that they set up how to sleep on the floor. Do you know what I mean? It's not just like randomly sleeping on the floor. It's like the conscious setup of... Do you know what I mean? It's not just like if somebody's... I don't drink, and Maddie's a very light drinker, but it's like I've had friends where they've gone out for a night out, and then they've come back hungover, and they're just like, I don't know what to do, I'll just plonk on the floor. It's not like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like conscious... like rest in the space. There's something about it.
What, mentally?
I don't know.
Because it is just a floor.
Yeah.
Don't be confused by Emma's word. It is a floor.
But it's like, you know, like in Japan, plenty of people sleep on the floor. Like, it's not...
I mean, the underfloor heating, that is like the main thing. That's the main event. And, oh, it's so amazing having a warm bum. Being on the floor. Oh, my word.
Is this another thing that you want to contribute? Get underfloor heating?
Absolutely. Out with the radiators, in with the underfloor heating. Never have cold feet ever again. You know, one of the things that keeps me up at night sometimes is having cold feet because I don't have good circulation. You never have that problem with Ondol. It's amazing. Love it.
So it's really just invest in underfloor heating. Don't be afraid to sleep on the floor. It's very nice. Actually, can I add one more thing that you mentioned? On Maddie's first night, or maybe it was second night in South Korea, she messaged me to talk about how much she loved going to the outhouse to go to the loo. Is that it? Having to leave that main house to go to the loo?
So I was staying in a traditional hanok, and if you know what a hanok is, you know that it's kind of, some of them are shaped like a ring, or some are like an L shape, but they always have a courtyard, like a little space outside, and the actual authentic houses, you know, the historical ones, you have to go into the courtyard, leave, you know, go outside to leave each room, which meant that every time I needed the toilet, I had to go outside into the night to then walk across the little wooden thing, and then go into the bathroom. And I'm telling you, I loved it. I don't know why. I loved the, like, charming inconvenience of it, honestly. Also, another fun story, I did get locked in one night. I just couldn't open my doors no matter what. And it's a you know, a traditional hanok. I'm not going to break down the doors because I need the toilet at 4 a.m. So I had to hold it until the morning. But
wait, how did you lock yourself in?
The doors were just shut quite hard by the wind overnight, I think. And I couldn't open them, and I was too scared to push them too hard.
Oh my god. Did it not, when you had to make that journey each time, was it not cold?
I mean, it was a little bit cold outside, but I'm from England, so it was fine. Like it was no colder than an actual inside of a house can be in England in January, you know, on the outside. So it's fine.
Okay.
Right. Also, back home in England right now, it's been like 9 degrees, and then I go over there and it's 24, and it's even hotter on some days. And the lady I was staying with, when it got to like 18 degrees Celsius, by the way, she was like, "Oh, it's so cold," and I'm like, "No, it's warm."
Wait, it was 24 degrees in Seoul.
Yeah. So this is the summer that we didn't have this year.
So I've been freezing my ass off in Europe, and it's actually been warm there.
And I was living the life in summery Seoul.
I do enjoy that she thought 18 was cold.
Yeah, I've literally sunbathed in 16 degrees before, so.
What?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
I don't know, a couple of years ago. Tank top. Everything.
Oh my god, no. No, sir. Yeah, British weather is not.
Yeah, you have to take what you can get. If the hottest it's going to get in England for the year is 29 on one single day in July, then you will be sunbathing at 16 degrees, and that is fine. You have to accept it.
Well, those are some good contributions from Maddie for the exchange.
Ka-ching.
I'll add as well, enjoy the Christmas food as it comes out, because I've been trying to slowly, you see all the Christmas editions of things that have started hitting the shelves. I can recommend the Marks and Spencer's Pigs in Blanket crisps. They're quite nice. Crisps, yeah. You look very confused.
Pigs in blankets crisps.
Yeah, they're like pigs in blankets flavoured.
Oh, no, that's unnecessary.
What do you mean?
Just eat pigs in blankets. Why would you want the flavour as a crisp?
Because
People like pigs in blankets for the little cuteness of it, the textures and the flavours. Why would you want that as a crisp?
I don't know, I can't
Anyway,
answer you.
okay, let me ask you a question. Before the discovery that this existed in Marks and Spencer's, did you ever think to yourself, while you're eating a pigs in blankets, oh, it would make this so much better if this was a crisp? I don't think you did you?
No, but
Exactly.
I can say something. Can I give you something that you shouldn't try?
Okay.
So all the Cadbury's Christmas chocolates are out right now, and I was at Reading getting a train, so it was like a change. So I was like, I'll get some chocolate. And for people who aren't British, Cadbury's do something at Easter called a cream egg.
Oh, I love a cream egg.
Really? You're a cream egg fan?
Absolutely. I got a Korean friend to eat one once who lives in Manchester, and he was like, "Oh, it's all right. It's a bit weird though, but I love the cream."
Could you then describe for our non-British listeners what a cream egg is?
Okay, it's beautiful. It's imagine like an egg-shaped little chocolate. The walls are quite thick. You bite into it, and there's this gooey, sweet wonderfulness inside that looks like egg white and egg yolk. Yeah. But it's really nice, I promise you.
So I think what Cadbury's have done is they've gone, oh, well, cream eggs are so popular, but it's a big Easter thing, right? So they've gone, oh, how can we make something similar for Christmas? So they've created something called like a Christmas pudding, and it's similar in theory in that it's a like round chocolate shell, and inside there's like this praliny mousse that they've got to taste like a Christmas pudding.
Okay.
And I don't love a cream egg, but I don't hate a cream egg. It's like a staple of British Easter, so I will have one. But I saw these Christmas puddings and I was like, sure, I'll try one. Absolutely horrendous.
Oh.
It's not nice because I feel like the magic of the cream egg is like you said, right? You bite into it, it's gooey. Like if you love sugar, hence why Maddie loves it. With this, like it's not gooey. It's just like a moussey paste. And I don't know. Again, are you a Christmas pudding fan?
No.
No, see, I'm not either. But that's the thing. It's like if you make it a Christmas pudding flavour, I don't feel like people like. I love a mince pie.
Me
If they
too.
made it mince pie flavoured, I feel like that might have got people's nostalgia memories going. But like,
people don't go on about Christmas pudding. They're like, oh, I'm craving a mince pie, and you never hear people going, oh, I really want a Christmas pudding.
so it didn't really. I'll be honest, because I got in my chocolate haul, I got a Milky Way, because I love a Milky Way. I got a Rice Krispies squares, because you know those are good. And then I got the Christmas pudding, and then I had like very mild food poisoning afterwards. And I'll be honest, I think it was the Christmas pudding that did it, because there's no reason any of the other things should have given me. So I get what they're trying to do, because the cream egg is a classic and they want a Christmas version, but I would not recommend the Cadbury's Christmas puddings. So now you know, because I know you love your sweets.
I'll avoid it in Sainsbury's.
Do you have any favourite Christmas limited edition items that you're looking forward to food-wise?
Just mince pies, man.
Do you have a favourite brand?
No. Oh, maybe is it the Taste the Difference to them?
Yes.
Yes, I think it's the fancy Sainsbury's Taste the Difference. Those are really good.
I love mince pie as well. So I feel like you kind of had a sign-off message, but do you want to expand on that? Do you want to add any Maddie wisdom to that sign-off message?
What was it again?
Oh my goodness. I have also forgotten.
Okay, so Emma has the flu, as you heard, and I'm very jet lagged, so none of us can remember anything. So I will just remind you all, lovely, beautiful listeners, to just have a rest. Go back to bed, because you probably need it, you sleepyhead.
Yeah. It's a like an autumny thing, isn't it?
Oh, I really do love sleeping like non-stop. I will sleep 24 hours if I feel I need it.
You did sleep until about 12:15 today.
Yeah, that's really easy. That's not like an achievement for me. I can sleep about, I think recently I slept 21 hours. I did wake up briefly along the way, but yeah, I slept 21 hours. So it is achievable. There's no limits.
Wow. My message will be, we got our first listeners from Denmark recently.
Oh, cool.
So go Denmark.
We're just a few countries left from completing a Eurovision.
Go Denmark. That's my sign-off message.
I would love to go to, like, is it Northern Europe in Denmark?
Yeah, like the Nordic countries.
Yeah. Oh, so much. I want to go to Scandinavia, which I've said before. And I think everyone who's listened to us knows how much I love Alexander Rybak.
And ABBA. We love ABBA.
We do. And Northern Lights. Me and Emma missed the Northern Lights last night because we were both too tired.
Yeah. Maddie genuinely went, oh, the Northern Lights. And I went, okay.
Did you see the pictures? Everyone from my town is posting pictures of this watermelon coloured sky. And I'm like, well, I missed it both times. Both once in a lifetime opportunities.
Well, as always, thank you very much for listening to another episode of Falling Upwards. The last of the Sea Women is out now. Go check it out and listen to Maddie. Go sleep. Have a good one.
Night.
Bye.